Oh, chimpanzee that. He's gone and written it down again.
That's the ever-changing jingle for Karl's diary, excerpts of which we like to read each week. Suzanne said today can be my day because she has been a bit of a pain with her illness and that. So she said I can do what I want today. We went for a walk around Green Park. Loads of tourists were about looking at the Queen's house. She was in because the flag was up. I wouldn't want to live there. Why wouldn't you want to live there? Just because it's right in the centre of town?
It's just not in a good place, is it? It's got a roundabout outside and that.
Really busy. Yeah.
It's pretty good.
I went for a pee in the toilets. When I came out, a pigeon had shat on Suzanne's coat. She was in a bit of a mood about it. A bird shat on my ear once. I left it for about 10 to 15 minutes until I got home. I washed it off, and in that 10 to 15 minutes, it had corroded me ear.
He's had a lot of problem with ears. He told me the other day, he got up, washed, had a bath, had some breakfast, went to the shops to get a newspaper and had a chat with a woman in the corner shop, got home, pottering around, looked in the mirror, he had a cotton bud sticking out of his ear. He went, what annoyed me was she didn't say anything. Like it's her responsibility.
Yeah.
No, but she knows me well enough to sort of, you know, go, you know you got a cotton bud in your ear.
No, she knows you well enough to go, Carl's got a cotton bud in his ear, I've seen worse. When you've got a cotton bud in your ear, what interrupted
I think Suzanne called or my dad called or something, and then because I was running a little bit late because I've been talking to them, the earbud was in, I just popped my coat on and went to the shop.
Carl, you got a toothbrush in your mouth. Oh.
Walked through Covent Garden. There were 5 of them mimes knocking about. I don't understand why people take pictures of mimes. Everyone looks like a mime in a picture.
That's so true. That's really true. If the point is they're staying still, if that's their skill, a picture won't tell that story. That's absolutely true.
My dad took the cat to be put down today because it kept bumping into things since losing its sight. My mum said she's not going to get another one. She said the parrot is looking worried as it's seen the budgie and the cat go in the space of 3 months.
Your mum said the parrot's looking worried. What happened to the cat then?
It gets into a lot of fights. It lost one eye, and then it got into another fight and lost another.
Oh,
and it was just walking around bumping into stuff. The vet sort of said, oh, we can do stuff to keep it alive and all that, but it's a bit out of order, isn't it? Because it costs a fortune, they shouldn't tell you.
But
Mum and Dad can't afford to have eyes put on it and stuff.
No, you can't have eyes put on a cat anyway.
No, but they said, oh, we can do something here. We can have its eyes sorted out.
But I don't think you should be allowed cats.
Why?
Not the Pilkington family.
Why not? Well, they have good
dying.
lives. Yeah, I know, but they have good lives whilst they're still knocking about. It's just that we get through them.
It's a good job you're not going to have kids.
Oh, God almighty. I can't believe it. The cat that kept throwing up. So his mum shaved it. Unbelievable. Dry wipe cat.
A mate sent me a story on email about a bloke in China who has this weird illness that means he can't have his picture taken. That's not the weird bit. If he tries, his body doesn't appear in the photo.
Don't talk shit.
He has had group pictures taken and everyone appeared apart from him.
Don't talk shit.
The
That's
story
bollocks.
had a picture next to it of a family photo and it said he was stood at the back, but you couldn't see him.
Right, he wasn't in the picture.
He was in the picture.
No, he wasn't in the picture.
We've done loads of tests and stuff.
No, I haven't done loads of tests. This is bollocks. There's no way this is scientifically possible. What's his Yeah, now he's wanted. Just a white bit of paper up on the police wall. Have you seen this man? What man? If you see him, tell us. You're talking shit.
Suzanne watched the film You've Got Mail tonight for about the 14th time. I don't think you could properly fancy someone without seeing them, unless you're blind. I think it's odd when blind people have affairs. Why is that odd?
Just because most stuff is based on looks, isn't it? So you think once they've found someone, they're happy with them. Stick with them.
But no, it's not true. Most things are based on looks.
What I mean is when you first meet someone and that.
Well, then initially it's only looks because you don't know them.
So that's what I'm saying.
But that's a ridiculous thing to say, isn't it?
Well, no, it's just what I think. I'm not saying that's like fact or anything. I'm just thinking if you're blind, why mess about?
You're still basing on it if it's only looks that people find. What?
Yeah, I'm just saying, so why is a blind person messing about having an affair?
Because I'm saying that presumably that blind person isn't basing anything on looks.
Alright, I mean, maybe that's not, I mean more like...
Do you want me to cross it out? Shall I cross it out? Because
it's just the same way, I think I put how, you know, people, I read something in a Sunday paper once with some bloke who was going out with some woman, he ended up going out with a sister who was a twin. If you're gonna have a change, have a change.
Spoke to Ricky about trips to the moon. He was up for going just to see what the world looks like. I came up with the idea of a giant mirror on the moon that would reflect the world back. He had a few questions, but I had the answers.
Yeah.
He changed the subject, I won.
Right. My first question was, how would you get it up there? He said bit by bit. That'd be a good mirror then, wouldn't it? I said, how big would it be? He went, you'd still need a telescope. I said, how would you get it on the right side of the moon, always facing the right? He went, what? He went, does the moon move then? I went, yes.
And if we don't like the mirror on the moon, we can always wallpaper over it. It's Suzanne's birthday tomorrow, so I've got to get her something. I sometimes think it would be best if we didn't celebrate birthdays. I think people would live a bit longer if they didn't know how old they were. Age puts restrictions on things. She said something about wanting one of them posh badges to put on her coat. I will look for one later.
I love the fact that around the time that you've got to buy Suzanne her birthday present, you think that birthday presents are a bad idea.
Got up early, it's Suzanne's birthday, gave her the card and present. She was well happy with her posh badge. She wore it to work. It's quite nice to hear a moment where she was actually happy for once in your company. They always say when you get someone a present, you should buy them something they wouldn't buy themselves. Daft rule. I want something I would buy myself if I had the money. When I was young, me Auntie Nora got me a present I wouldn't buy myself. It was a t-shirt with her face on. Looked at what's been going on in the world. Someone has found some people who live in an old town somewhere where they are so old-fashioned they still walk on all fours. There is a picture of them and they use shoes on their hands.
That's not old-fashioned. Why is that old-fashioned?
That's some kind of regressive evolution.
Yeah, really old-fashioned.
Yeah.
It's not true, is it?
It is true. It's somewhere in,
Well, I believe they have found a group of people that are living and walking around on all fours, but
Yeah,
I
but
don't believe they're wearing shoes on their hands.
And I don't believe they haven't evolved to standing up.
No, they just haven't seen other people walking on 2 feet.
Don't talk shit all your life.
That's all it's about, though, isn't it? You copy. When you're a baby, if you were stuck in a room, you'd wander about on all fours, because that's the way, that's an easy way of getting about. So you only walk on 2 feet because you see everyone else doing it.
Well, I don't believe that is the case, because as I understand it, some of the family are walking on 2 feet. So I don't know what the ins and outs of it are. I know there's a forthcoming documentary on the BBC, so maybe we should watch that and then we'll all know what's going on. Instead of just leaping to conclusions because you read half of it on the internet and then skipped on to something
all
else.
I'm saying is, though, you would wear shoes on your hands if you're roaming about like that.
So you just confessed there that you leapt from fact to fiction, did you, in the space of one diary entry?
It's just that I saw a little picture.
And you assumed that they'd be wearing shoes on their feet?
If they've got shoes on their feet, they might as well have them on their hands, because their hands are doing the same as the feet. If you're not going to wear them on your hands, don't put them on your feet then.
I'm beginning to think some monkey news was bollocks.
Treated Suzanne to her tea, went and got her a curry from the shop opposite. While I waited for the food, I read a story in the Metro newspaper about an alien gang that kept appearing in someone's garden.
Christ.
The bloke moved, but when he used to pass the house at night, he would still see the aliens knocking about, hiding underneath his old shed. There was other alien stuff, but I had to go as the food was ready.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's a bit annoying, that.
Yeah, load of bollocks again. Well, good. More, drivel from Karl's diary next week.
Oh, chimpanzee, that is raining down again, you fucking...
That's the jingle for excerpts from Karl's diary. This is all legitimate stuff. Ricky and I have had no input in this. This is the first time we get to read it. Went and did some shopping for stuff as it was my turn. Suzanne moaned a bit because I forgot orange juice and bought some cheap toilet paper. She always buys the expensive toilet paper. I don't know why they make toilet paper with pretty patterns on it.
That made it into the diary.
Up and out at 9 o'clock to go to the Cotswolds. Now, I think this was a gift for your girlfriend, wasn't it, for her birthday?
It was a
You went to the
birthday and
Cotswolds,
that, so I just went for one night.
Got the car and headed off. We stopped at a service station to get some breakfast. We had fried toast with an egg on it, 1 sausage and beans, twice. Cost us £13.85. They sell everything separate, so it seems cheap. At that price, we must have been charged for each bean. We found the B&B, but they wouldn't let us in the room because we were early. We went for a walk. There was not much around the B&B, so we had a quick walk around the car park. And went back in. Happy birthday. The room was now ready. It's an alright room. 3 biscuits, so I ate them straight away. Like a child.
Like a dog! He runs in, jumps on the bed. No.
Get off the bed, not on the furniture. The room overlooked the car park that we'd already been round. You're staring at that window. Remember when we went there?
We'll always have the car park.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
The room had posh coat hangers in the wardrobe with sponge on them.
So I ate the sponge.
Don't think they are needed. We went and booked a table for Sunday dinner and went on another walk. There was a field that was there just for birds to live on. We couldn't see any, so we went to the pub. Headed back to where we were staying for our dinner, I had beef. It was nice enough, but there was a family of 13 behind us. I don't see the point in going out in large numbers. They annoyed me. One of the family asked for sorbet before his next course. He was only about 11. He thought he was it. I said to Suzanne, I've had enough and needed a kip. Watched Planet Earth on BBC One. They filmed a panda for 4 weeks and all it did was sit in its cave. It did nout. If I was Fiat, I wouldn't name one of my cars after them as it suggests it won't work or go very far. It'd be like bringing out a Ford Sloth. No one would buy it.
A Ford Sloth. I would love that ad campaign. Oh, that's amazing. Oh, God. The new Vauxhall Slug.
We had a look around the local village. There wasn't much to it. We did the usual thing and had a look around the church graveyard to see how old the dead people are.
Suzanne's had a hell of a time so far. She's gone to the Cotswolds, the room wasn't ready, she's seen the car park, an empty field, and now let's go and play how old the dead people are.
I like the fact that you mentioned we did the usual thing of having a look round the church graveyard. Do you make her do that every time you go away?
I like the fact, I want to know what she did for 2 hours when you slept. Did she just like...
She went to a club, had a whale of a time.
No, she just looked out at the car park, just like, memories.
But that's what you do, though, isn't it, when you go to these places? There's nothing else, unless you want fudge. Or, you walk round a church graveyard and have a look. There's nothing.
Fudge.
We went home. It took 3 hours to drive back. People say they go to the country to see the wildlife. I saw rabbits, pheasants and a fox on the way home. They were all dead in the road. I was just intrigued to know, because Rob from Burton-on-Trent sent this in, and he wants to know that, because he's just started seeing someone, and he wants to know what your advice, Karl, is on how to keep her happy. He's just started a relationship with someone, he wants to know what your advice would be to keep her happy, because, he won't have heard that you took Suzanne on that wonderful trip to the Cotswolds, so what's your advice, really, for someone who's perhaps just started a relationship? You've been with Suzanne for, 9 years?
Ages. I don't think you should, have to go out of your way to please them, because then it's not the right person. I think you should just do what you want, and then if they like it, then they're the right ones for you. So don't go out of your way too much. I got the posh badge for a birthday. That's once a year. Rest of the time, it's kind of like, I like weird stuff. I like watching weird stuff and all that. Now and again, I won't make her watch it. I'll tape it.
Amazing advice.
But sometimes...
This is amazing advice.
Sometimes you just say, no, come on, the bloke with the 2 heads on, I want to watch it live.
So, give and take is what you're saying there.
That's all. It shouldn't be hard. As soon as it's hard, it's not right. So just go about your business. See if she joins in.
Brilliant. Another quote for the book.
Woke up to the Commonwealth Games on the radio. Now, what are you making of the Commonwealth Games? Is that something that interests you? Are you a sports fan?
I'm not really. I mean, Suzanne's sort of been getting up early, especially to watch it. You know how I feel about a lot of it. It just seems to be sort of wasted. If people are running fast, use it. Do you know what I mean? Rather than just trying to beat your own record or someone else's, do something where you do have to run. If you're a good swimmer, be a lifeguard. Don't be messing about going up and down.
Oh, I don't believe it. He's written it down.
That's downloadable as a ringtone. And it's also the jingle for Karl's diary. Just reading excerpts of Karl's diary. Went home and looked up Freud on the internet. Didn't find him that interesting, so looked at some other philosophers instead. Socrates, Aristotle. Why have you just listed some philosophers?
Just to show that I'm learning.
Well, that's not learning.
That's just learning their names.
That's a list. You might as well write 1 to 100.
Yeah, but if someone says, "Oh, what's your favourite philosopher?" I'll go, "Hang on a minute," and I've got them written down.
But why you can't just
Wait a
pick
minute,
one.
I'll go home, get my enormous diary out.
Yeah. Get a wheelbarrow, bring in my workings, and say one of the names I've written down.
And when they say, well, why do you like him?
Yeah, why do you
just
like,
run away.
Well, I noticed you put Socrates first. Why is he your favourite philosopher?
You throw the diary at them and leg it. Oh, and then you go on to say, it's weird how names have changed, but then there's no other point there.
It just is, isn't it? When you think about, like, Socrates, I've never heard that on anyone who I know. Is what I mean. It's just, in a way...
But you're not Greek, are you?
But how did that go about back then? I mean, say if you were phoning someone up and they said, I'm booking a table for 2, they go, name? Socrates. Did he ever go, cheers? Without going, can you spell that for me?
But I don't know what point you're making.
I'm just saying it's a name that's awkward. You're always going to have to go, can you spell that for me? You go, and it's not just him. Look at all them other names that are on that list.
But they're from a different country.
And a different era.
Yeah, I know, but the names, I've been to Rome and stuff, and you sort of go...
What, ancient Rome?
Just Rome. It hasn't changed, has it? Rome, so it can be ancient Rome or Rome in 2006. It's the same buildings.
I used to love Nero going around in his Fiat Punto.
Lao Tzu from years ago came up with some good stuff. 1, he who knows does not speak. He who speaks does not know. Not entirely true. To lead people, walk behind them.
Yeah.
And of course, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with 1 step.
Yeah, did that.
Just favourites.
Maybe this is why people are at the start line spectating at the Commonwealth Games.
Well, no, it's just that I've never understood why in Olympics and stuff like that, if you're going to watch, don't stand around the start line, go to the end, where you see the winner. But because of that saying, it actually makes sense, doesn't it? It's like, well, every step starts with a step, or whatever.
Say it again?
Every race, you've got to start with a step.
Yeah.
So,
Which is, who am I talking to now, you or your brain?
Well, I was thinking about it a bit, so I think I was in control of it a bit more.
So, and what have you come up with?
Just if you want to stay at the start line, do.
What does that mean?
I'm just saying, if you're into, I wouldn't watch a race, right?
Okay.
But
Is this you or your brain I'm talking to now?
This is me.
Okay.
I wouldn't watch.
Are you gonna bring the brain into it, or is it? There's no.
I don't know. Let's just see what happens.
Okay.
But all I'm saying is,
Right.
if I was to watch a race,
Yeah.
I wouldn't hang about the start line because.
Well, you just said you would.
What did I?
Yeah, you said that's the place to start because every race starts with a step.
No, but I wouldn't normally.
Right.
I
Okay.
won't watch any
The
race.
brain definitely hasn't been used
No,
yet.
is this you or your brain you're talking about now?
I'm just saying about me. If I was on holiday
Yeah.
and Suzanne said there's a race going on down the road,
Yeah.
I'd go, well, let's go, keep going down the road and stand at the finish line.
Okay, but now what have
according
you
to
thought?
Lazoo,
Yeah.
I'd say, well, hang on a minute, every race starts with a single step.
Yeah.
How many people around the start line? Is there more room there? She goes, yeah. I'll go, let's go there then, it's less busy.
Right. And what would you see there then?
I'd see people starting the race, but I wouldn't be that impressed with them because I'd go, well, I don't know if any of these are any good.
So would you start at the start or the end then?
If it was down to me, I'd just probably stay at the finish line.
Okay. So you wouldn't want to see the first step then. So what
Not
do you think of Lazoo now then?
It's not what, but I wrote down 3 of his. That one isn't my favourite. That was the 3rd. I preferred the leading people from behind.
Okay. And what would you do to lead someone now then?
Well, if you're behind, you don't have to take responsibility, do you? You can go, well, I didn't send you here, you went there.
That's not really leading them, though, is it?
Yeah, because I've made them think. I've gone, they go, oh, I've just walked into a big hole. I'd go, oh, should have been looking where you're going. I haven't led them in that hole, but they've learnt a lesson, they won't go in a hole again.
That was one of the greatest conversations I've ever been a part of. I mean, that was incredible. Never mind Aristotle and Socrates. That was incredible, that. If someone's out there, could they make a transcript of that? Because I think that, you know, in 1,000 years' time, that'd be amazing. That was incredible, Karl.
And not once was the brain used.
Well, one thing Karl has been doing over the past few months is writing his diary. He's kept that up. I don't know what he's had to write about. All he's been doing is looking at moths and ants and bees and going for walks. But I'm sure it's all in the diary. So, let's have a look at that.
Oh, I don't believe it. He's only gone and written it down.
We went to the park and had a brew. Suzanne read the paper while I played with a ladybird. I mean, it's like a child, isn't it? It's like what a child would do.
Suzanne read the paper while I played with the ladybird. His only friend is a beetle.
It climbed up my arm. It struggled on me hairs.
This is in detail, then?
Yeah. It kept stopping every now and then, and was rubbing its head with its right arm. It did it about 4 times, and always used its right arm. It rested for about 5 minutes, then flew off. Sunday. Had a bit of a to-do with Suzanne, 'cause she wanted a lion today. I ate this. Once you're awake, you should get up. I got up and put the radio on really loud. She eventually got up. I told her insects don't have lions, so we shouldn't.
Why are you obsessed with insects?
You must be fucking unbearable to live with. You must be a nightmare.
No, I've just started, because I've watched insects a lot, I don't want to keep going on about them, because we're a bit insect heavy. But, at the end of the day, if we copied insects, we wouldn't go far wrong.
I don't know what you mean, though. 1 minute you're saying they're great, then the next minute you'll slag them off.
Yeah, I'll slag some of them off if I don't know what they're doing, but because I've studied them a bit longer, I just think they do it
You haven't
right.
studied them, though.
He thinks he's like Darwin.
But you just slagged them off again, don't you think that insects are doing stuff? They're not. It
Yeah,
goes there,
ants,
then it goes back again.
The ant was messing about, but only that one. The others were carrying stuff. That's what I'm saying. There's snidey ones in everything. In everything in the world, you get a hierarchy.
Oh, long words!
Ooh. The bookshelf was dusty, so Suzanne asked me to dust it if I get a minute. I ended up looking at every book.
Just the spine.
Yeah.
Just for a few seconds each. Yeah. Didn't open them.
I looked in the dictionary to see if the word dictionary would be in the dictionary. I didn't think they would bother with it being on the front page, but it was in the book as well.
It's a good point, though, isn't it?
No, it's not a good point, because you didn't tell us anything.
Dictionary is in the dictionary.
Well, of course it is.
Well, why? If you go, how do you spell dictionary, you look at the spine and you go, oh, there it is, D-I-C-T, and all that.
So what does dictionary mean?
It's a book full of words, isn't it?
That's what it means. All books are full of words, you idiot.
How to spell them. And if you don't know
No,
what
it's
it
not
is...
how to spell them.
Alright then, well...
How do you look up something? No. It's not a book full of words to tell us what... No. It's the meaning.
Give us
It's
the definition of
definitive meaning.
dictionary.
It's a book full of words if you want to know what the meanings are. But if you didn't know
Well,
that...
I'm sorry, what was that sentence?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if you didn't know that, then you wouldn't be looking in it, because you wouldn't know the book is about that. So, if you don't know the word dictionary and what it means, you wouldn't be looking at the dictionary, you'd be looking at an A to Z. Because you go,
Why
oh,
leave it
there's
out,
letters.
though?
Just because there's so many words in the world, I would have thought they wanted to cram as much as they can on a page, and if dictionary is already on the front...
Is that why you suddenly used the word hierarchy for the first time ever? Did you find that in there?
Did you see hierarchy in the dictionary?
I feel
I don't know where
that
that
big
was.
word has pushed out about 26 other more useful ones.
Yeah, well, Suzanne's been going on about me learning another language. But I sort of think your brain has only got so much room on it.
And the rest of it's filled with lard.
So, if I've got to learn everything I know, again, but in a different language, it's taking up space, isn't it?
You don't learn everything. Oh, God.
It's all
What do you mean?
storage, isn't it?
But you don't have to learn it again. You don't have to learn the concepts again. You're merely
Do you know how
learning
many
vocabulary.
moves there are in the human brain? Really, you don't worry, you won't use them all up.
I feel that he has reached his capacity, though.
Yeah. Well, you need another sort of, you need an update. You need some more memory.
Woke up to some interesting news. It's good when this happens because it sets me up for the day ahead. If it's miserable news, it affects my day. It said on the news that they have found 2 new flies.
Fucking hell, more insects! What have you done? Is that all you've done this summer?
Bong! Trouble in the Middle East. Bong! 2 new flies found.
Ladybird climbs up arm.
They were found in the UK and they were found close to each other. Maybe this happened because they were different than the other flies and weren't expected to hang about together, so that's why they knocked about with each other.
That would happen, wouldn't it?
What do you mean?
It's 2 new flies.
What do you mean? Does it mean there are 2 new flies that are a different species?
Yeah, 2 new species, and they found them close to each other, right?
Yeah,
and
but they didn't mean there was one of each.
No. Yeah, they did. They found 2 different ones.
No,
they have. Seriously, I know that. That's right. That's a fact. So you've got, like, I don't know the names of them. They give them odd names, don't they? Well, say
Yeah.
call it A and Fly B, right?
Yeah.
Fly A, I don't know. Say that's orange.
This is just...
B.
Probably, yeah.
No,
This is
but,
painful,
No, but
this
I'm
is
just making it
painful.
easier
But
for
probably
you.
wears a little hat. It's a little hat.
Alright, yeah, fine. Now, they found the orange one. I went, look at this over here. This is a bit weird. And they've gone, oh, that's a new species. Log it, whatever. And then the other one went, oh, keep your pen handy. Look at this one, it's got a hat on. So then they found them both within the same distance.
I don't know what that sentence means.
Keep going.
They found them both within the same distance.
But without interrupting him, let him finish this point.
Let me just make one thing clear. Carl Pilkington just said they found them both within the same distance. Think of that!
Don't know what it means, but go on, let him finish this point.
So what I mean is, they weren't knocking about with other normal houseflies because they were probably sort of going, oh, he's a bit weird. Leave it. Yet, because the other one was also odd, they're hanging about with each other. Don't you understand that? Why is that such an odd concept?
Because you think of it as like 2 little new kids in school.
Yeah.
They find out they're both new and they've got something in common.
They're both goths, so they start hanging out together.
Yeah.
And this was on the news, was it?
Yeah, just on the radio, yeah.
I know if I looked into that story, it would be 90% wrong.
Bit tired today because didn't get to sleep as early as I wanted due to a moth getting in the bedroom.
Fuck me!
I got it in a glass and looked at it for a bit and then let it go because Suzanne wanted to go to sleep. Looked up some interesting news. Some people dug up an old body in Ireland. Turns out it's well old and was here when dinosaurs were here. The really weird bit is it had hair gel in its hair.
Right, what is it?
Fella.
Well, no, it wasn't around when dinosaurs were here then.
Just a bit after.
Right, fine. A lot after, yeah, go on. I think any hominid, anything that could even be linked to anything that may become man, is only about 1 million years old, and I think Homo sapien is probably only about 150,000 years old. Dinosaurs are about 150 million to 250 million.
Yeah, no, it's not the age bit, that's amazing. It's the fact of, there's a fella, won't have even had shoes on his feet,
Right.
and yet he was worried about his hairstyle.
Right, well that's definitely not true either. This is unbelievable.
Well, there was a man on the radio doing poetry, says Karl in his diary. I thought I'd have a go at doing a poem about today.
Not really. Steve, I'm a little bit queasy. He hasn't really written a poem.
He's written a small poem.
No, he hasn't really.
Yes. If moths had eyes...
Fuck me!
let me read the poem, okay?
Oh, fuck.
You wouldn't interrupt T.S. Eliot.
Okay. Okay.
If moths had eyes, would they be happier? How do they know they're not dead? Cavemen hunting for food, but not before they style the hair on their head. What would last longer in dinosaur times? A blind man didn't stand a chance. Not with all them rocks about. I'd rather be a blind moth.
Right. It may be the greatest poem
Now,
ever written.
just dissecting it briefly, you attempt to rhyme in the first 4 lines, but abandon the rhyming system in the last 3. Is there a creative
Can
decision for that?
we have Karl read that?
By all
Sorry,
means, yeah.
just you read it as you would like to. So this is imagine this, right? Okay, this is going out all over the world. This podcast. And now Karl Pilkington, a new poet from Manchester, now living in London, England, would like to read a poem.
If moths had eyes, would they be happier? How do they know they're not dead? Cavemen hunting for food, but not before they style the air on their head. What would last longer in dinosaur times? A blind man didn't stand a chance. Not with all them rocks about. I'd rather be a blind moth.
He said it as though the last bit was going to rhyme. He said it like it was going to rhyme. Oh God!
No, I think he feels as though the final line, I'd rather be a blind moth, is going to be one of those great, you know, a summation that somehow the moth is a metaphor, the caveman.
No, but
there's
all
no
I'm doing-
metaphor in that. He really does mean he'd rather be a blind moth.
Yeah, well, I'm just because I've looked at the day's news.
Can we always do that, Karl? Can we always find a day, right, and always sum it up in your thoughts, a poem? Just like that. I love that structure. I love that structure. If there's any English students or professors or novelists or poets listening, please email us what I thought of that poem, why it's good, why it's bad. So, you know, give us your thoughts on that. I mean, we would love expert opinion, poets, English professors. Just email us at podcast@rickygervais.com.
Oh, he's only got to write it down.
That's the jingle for Karl's diary. We had bacon and egg on toast. I'm eager to get through the brown sauce, as the bottle is too big to go in any cupboard, so it has to be left on the sideboard. So I had about 4 dollops of the stuff. I love that because, you know, that made it into the diary. He's concerned about the fact that brown sauce is too big, so he's rushing through it.
I know, but I'm just saying the kitchen isn't that big, and it looks messy when you leave stuff out, doesn't it? And we've got this giant brown sauce bottle, and I don't want to chuck it away because that'd be a waste.
So you're having brown sauce and everything, your cornflakes,
basically, yeah.
in your tea.
Yeah.
A wasp got in the flat. You know trouble's brewing. It was massive, the biggest wasp ever. Suzanne asked me to get it out, but I wanted to take a picture of it first. I was getting my phone ready when it flew at me. I reckon the sting on it could have killed a kitten.
So specific.
It ended up flying out the window on its own. Drama averted.
Oh God.
We went out for tea. You're always in a cafe. That's what this diary. You spend so much time in a cafe. There were loads of flying ants. I kept kicking the table because I could feel them on my legs. I wouldn't be that jumpy normally, but I still had flashbacks of the giant wasp from the morning. Suzanne told me to stop being stupid because I was ruining her night out.
A night out in a cafe. Brilliant. Oh,
what was it, her birthday?
And flashbacks from an incident.
Yeah.
Like he's some sort of, like, war veteran. What is it? It's the wasp. It could have killed a kitten.
Bought some wallpaper. We got back and got on with it. The wall that we've papered before has got a big mirror under it. We papered on top of it again. I ended up reading my phrase book while Suzanne did the rest of the tidying up. Now, what's your phrase book? This is just you trying to master English, is it?
It's just a book that tells you little sayings and how they came about.
An interesting phrase is potluck. It came about when all people ate is stews. They used to chuck all sorts of stuff into the stew. You stuck your spoon in, and sometimes you got something nice like beef, or you could end up with a bit of frog. It's potluck.
Good, isn't it?
That's what it said in the book, did it?
A bit of frog.
Got up and checked the wallpaper out. There are loads of air bumps and it's buckled on the joins. I wish we'd never done it. Suzanne said the washer was broke and it's out of its warranty. She called up the people who made it and they said it will cost £150 to fix. I don't know how they know that when they haven't even seen it. I want to smash it to bits and see what they can do for 150 quid. So much anger.
I want to smash it to bits. That'd be great, wouldn't it? 150, you sure? Come round.
Yeah.
And it's just like a cube that's been through one of those car crushers.
Yeah.
150 quid, there's 150 quid, fix it.
I watched the news and calmed down a bit, because there was a story about some Siamese twins who are having an operation. They've got 2 heads, 4 arms, 2 legs, 1 liver. The doctor said they will have 1 leg each. I felt bad worrying about the washer when people have bigger problems like the Siamese twins. Ricky and Steve asked me to do a poem about one day a week, so I thought I'd do one today. I can't obviously do it justice, so I should let the master read it.
You've done another poem?
Yeah, you said, just do one. If you have a day where you've had a lot of emotions.
Well, I loved the poem, and so did the listeners, and I knew they would, so if you can do that every week, that'd be a joy for me.
You can't force a poem, though.
No, I know.
A diary's easy to do, because you just write down what you're doing.
But you've got to have some really meaty subject matter to be able to write a poem, Rick, as you'll discover.
I know.
Right, so, you've heard what problems I had that day.
Go on then.
Bubbled wallpaper. What a mess. Washer dry and knackered. What a mess. Siamese twins separated. 1 leg less.
I don't know what rhyming scheme that is again. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh. Oh, fuck me.
Oh, it's only going really down.
That jingle, of course, signifies another reading from Karl Pilkington's diary. There was an animal in the paper today that I've never before seen. It's called an alpaca. They are gormless looking. The fellow who breeds them said they are easy to look after because they're used to harsh conditions because they normally live in the mountains. The problem with this is they will turn useless eventually, and then if we tried to bung it back on the Andes, they won't like it. It's like how people win these live like a star for a week competitions. They're not good for anyone. Okay?
Do you know what I mean? If something's living somewhere...
But he's not
But
going to
why are we
send them
gonna
back
bung
to
it
the
back?
Andes. He's presumably breeding them for something else.
Yeah, but say if eventually, the world's getting busy, there's hardly any room, and we go, right, what can we shift here? What's getting in our way that we can shift? Well, those funny-looking things came from the Andes, bung them back. All right, then let's put them back. And they go, oh, they don't like it. They're not surviving, they're dying out. Why did we bring them here? Oh, it was closer. Yeah, but look, we've died out now of the...
Sorry, this is not
This
with
is a whole
yourself.
scenario.
This isn't happening. Don't get angry about it like it just happened and you're sick of it. None of this has happened
No,
yet.
I'm just looking at how it will happen. Leave them where they were.
But
It's
you're
like-
getting angry about things that you're speculating on now. It's absurd, Karl. Not once have
That
I read
was an
here about
argument
your
with
anger
yourself.
about terrorism or international, political injustice. Not once have you written about that. Only about the fact we may send animals back to the Andes.
I know, but just because it just annoyed me, that's all. They brought them here, some fella's getting a load of praise because they brought this weird animal into the country, and yet it's like, well, they were on the Andes for a reason. Leave them there. It was happier there. I feel guilty when I open a bag and a fly flies out of it, and I think, where's that come from?
What bag are you opening with flies? What bag?
No, just when, the bag I took the computer home in, a fly flew out of it, and I thought, when did that get in that bag? Wherever brought that from? And it's the same thing. It doesn't want to be somewhere else. It was where it was. And that's the same with this Polaco, or whatever.
Oh, God! It's amazing! It really is the ramblings of a madman, isn't it?
Some new sea thing has been found.
That's the headlines on the news.
It wasn't found by sea experts. It was found on eBay. Someone was selling it for $5. I don't see the point in buying something that you don't know what it is.
What do you mean? What do you mean? It was...
Someone's found some sort of shell with a thing living in it.
Right.
They thought, oh, I've never seen one of these before, I can flog it on eBay. Someone bought it and then wanted to look after it, went to some sea expert, and they said, oh, I don't know what that is. That's the story. It's just weird how stuff's being found on eBay.
No, it wasn't found on eBay, though, was it?
Yeah, but that's where the specialist people sort of picked up on it. It's just weird that... I mean, all I was saying is I wouldn't want one. If you don't know how to... If it's a new creature, you don't know what makes it happy. When you get a kitten, you go, stroke its head, loves it, right? And you can do that knowing that it's liking it. If I had a little seashell, and you go, does it sit in water? I don't know. Do you know what I mean? You could end up doing more damage. So that's why I wouldn't want it. It's nice to have rules, isn't it? It's nice to know what you're doing with something.
Well, as you write in the diary, it's like if an alien landed and wanted to live with you. As much fun as it might sound, it wouldn't be long before you got annoyed with it because it wouldn't eat the food you gave it.
That's what I'm saying, but I couldn't have a go at it because he might not like pasta.
It might not.
Everyone likes pasta.
Oh, Chimpanzee, he's gone and written it down, the little...
The jingle that signifies another reading from Karl Pilkington's diary. Got up and put the radio on. I listened to the story that the vicar read on Radio 2.
Yeah, that could be good.
He was saying how Jesus was 33 when he died. He said he was more into the idea of doing a lot in your life than living for ages. This was linked to the news about the doctor who's come up with some stuff that he's been injecting himself and his wife with that makes you age better. I looked it up on the internet. It wasn't worth them doing it because they are already old looking. I don't know why people want to stay looking young. You can wear a bald head better if you're old because hairs are replaced by wrinkles.
It's drivel.
No, it's not drivel.
Pointless.
It's just
A pointless entry to a diary, that.
it's not, because that could be like an important bit in like world history.
What?
The fact that someone's trying to make people not age. Age is good, isn't it? When you see an old
That's been
person.
going forever.
What has?
People trying to age better.
No, but he's talking about if you're 90, he wants people to look like they're 30. And that's not good because how would the world run when that's going on?
Well, I agree. But
You know, when
again,
people-
it's not a revelation.
If I like chatting to old people because they know a lot of stuff. So if I'm sat on a train and someone's old, I'm happier talking to them about...
They get up and move after about 10 minutes.
Well, he
No,
likes
but
the fact
they-
that many of them are infirm and can't.
Yeah, they have to stay there and listen to this one.
But yeah, even that means that they're getting more out of life in a way because they don't move about as much, so they have more thinking time. It is weird how that happens to you as you get closer to death.
Jesus.
You know, you're not working as much because you're resting, and you can think back about your life, and you can think, oh, I had a good one. Actually, it's not been that bad. Whereas if...
But you must have started that now, because you've been doing nothing for the past 3 months.
Yeah, but I'm just, well, like I'm saying, it is a good thing for you to do, to sort of think about what you've been doing with your days and your weeks.
And how
So-
do you assess your life so far? With all this spare time you've had in your hands and moping around and moaning about your illness and just sitting round, right? You've been introspecting, have you?
Yeah.
Go on then. What have you come up with?
I haven't come up with anything. I'm just, I'm just, you know, I have an all right life, and things are changing.
Oh, keep saying that.
No, but you don't know how much they are changing to the point of, I don't know if I mentioned the squirrel eating Mars bars, but from that, from that happening to monkeys opening bottles with lids on them, to it's mental out there. It's madness what is going on. And all I'm saying is old people need to be old people. You need oldness. You need to see old people. You need to go, right, they might have a solution. They've been on the earth longer. Quick, we need an answer. How old are you? I'm 32. Well, you look 78.
I don't know what you're saying! I don't know who that conversation was with, why you got angry, and I think you made the opposite point that you were making at the beginning. If you say you're 32, you look 78, no, you were saying about it'd be a problem if you were 78 and looked 32.
Well,
I don't know what you're saying. You came down on the wrong side then. You did that whole thing and you bollocksed it up again in your brain.
I'm just saying, either way, you need to have people who look old. Otherwise, who's in charge?
I don't know what you mean.
Right.
So you say so you're saying it'd be alright to make 78-year-olds look 32 as long as there were some 32-year-olds that look 78, as long as you've got old-looking people.
No, but say
Can I
like...
tear this page out? Because it's worthless.
What I mean is, when I went to the doctors,
Oh.
I saw the specialist, right, about the kidney stones. I was asking him all the straight questions.
Go on.
Is it life-threatening?
No.
You know, how long am I going to be out? All the
Couple of
rest of
days.
it, right? Now,
As it turned out, it is life-threatening and you've been out for 3 months whinging about the fucking thing. Strange.
Now, he was quite old. He looked about 55. And that reassured me in a way. In a way it didn't, because he's one of them doctors who didn't open his eyes much, and I kind of thought, I hope you
I
open
don't know
them
what you're
wider.
talking about. What do you mean?
What?
What do you mean he didn't open his eyes much?
One of those sort of doctors who's either that overworked, that is, he does that, you know, when he's tired, so he's going, right, what we're going to do is, and he's doing that with his eyes shut, he's talking
Well,
like that.
this is radio.
I know, but I'm telling you, so you can see.
But people are meant to be listening to this.
But if they can't imagine me with my eyes shut...
Well, tell him you got your eyes shut. Just say he had his eyes shut.
Yeah, he had his eyes shut.
Had he been reading this? Bored stupid, I imagine. He's just trying to get a...
Well, do you know what I mean? Or I don't know if it's because he's tired or if he's that educated that some people know so much you don't even have to look at it.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Intelligent people.
Who is so educated that they don't need to open their eyes?
You see it. You see like...
Who's that bloke over there? Is he blind? No, he's been reading too much. He doesn't open his eyes anymore, doesn't he? No.
Old people who you see wearing tweed and what have you, and they're really posh and they talk, and whenever they talk their eyes are shut and they
I
open...
don't know what this observation is.
I don't understand why you've never seen that.
I've never seen an old, educated man wearing tweed who doesn't bother open his fucking eyes.
Steve,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Steve, have you seen... Do you know what I mean? When people don't sort of open their eyes when they're talking to you, and it can be quite annoying, because it's like they're saying, I'm not interested about you sat there, I'm not bothered if you're listening, I'm saying what I'm saying because I say what I say. And it can be quite annoying.
If he has got his eyes closed, he's probably just trying to absorb what you're saying and think carefully about
probably.
it, so he doesn't misdiagnose you.
I'm not having a go at him.
Well, it sounds
I'm
like
just
you are.
saying he was 50 odd, and I was happy that he was there telling me...
I don't know why you were watching his eyes when he was telling you about your insides.
Because you can tell a lot by people's eyes. That's what I said about jellyfish. But, you know, just lines in a face tell a few stories, and I don't think we should get rid of them lines.
Brilliant.
Wise words.
You've mentioned him before, Steve, this Peeps fella.
Yes.
Has he done anything else apart from a diary? Because now I've done a book and a diary.
That means you're better than Peeps,
Well,
is what you're thinking,
well,
isn't it?
I'm not going to say that until I know, but what else did he do?
Well, Peeps wasn't a writer predominantly. I believe he was, like a bureaucrat or something. But he kept a diary which has since become a historical landmark.
And what did he say in it?
What did he say in it? Well, it's again more because it's both well written and it's also an amazing insight
a social
into
document
a social
as well.
document. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's a social document.
I
of
mean,
that
yours
period.
is a social document, but it sort of revolves around having egg and chips and a calf and seeing a ladybird, which, you know...
But that's today's living. That's
well,
what I'm saying
but his describes the Great Fire of London, which is what it's most. It's
but
best
we haven't
remembered
had
for.
one of them. If we had one, I'd write it down. I'm only writing what's happening. The ladybird happened, right? I wrote it down. He was just lucky. He was about in London when that happened.
So you're a little angered that you've not witnessed one of the great disasters.
Because the thing is, if they read your diary, they'd think, well, nothing happened that year. Nothing important in the world happened that year.
Because your diary doesn't just mention. I mean, okay, yes, it does. It fails to mention any disasters in London because we haven't had any. But it doesn't mention any. It doesn't mention any world events. It doesn't mention wars in Iraq, terrorism. It doesn't mention anything.
But that's all being wrote about anyway. If you're saying there's a museum that's keeping everything, there's loads of other books for that. Who's looking at the fella whose skulls fell off?
What?
We see. It's interesting, isn't it?
What do you mean the fellow whose skulls fell off?
Well, that's what happened the other week, so I wrote about it.
What?
A fella's skull has fell off.
What do you mean his skull has fell off?
It's something to do with circulation.
But what do you mean his skull fell
Well,
off?
it's in the diary.
But how can a skull fall off? Because it's surrounded by tissue and it's got a brain. How can just his skull? How can it detach itself from all the stuff surrounding
He
it?
mislaid all his dreams.
But all I'm saying is that's not getting a look in.
No, because it's not significant or probably true.
Good point, Steve.
I don't.
All right.
know
Well,
what's
let me
anything
just.
based on.
I'll just consult the diary quickly and find the moment with the man whose skull fell off. Oh, here we are. Yeah. Looks like the world's fattest man is having an operation to get rid of some of the fat. He has to have an iron bed because that's the only thing that can hold his weight. There's also a man whose skull has fell out. He's in hospital somewhere. I hate that. It would make me panic. The hospital is busy with people coming in to look at their head.
What are you talking about there? That tells us nothing. Right, it's impossible for a skull to fall out.
How are scholars in 10,000 years going to be... What are they going to decipher from that?
They can sort of go.
There's not enough incident detail.
But how did his skull fall out?
Circulation problems.
But answer the question. How did his skull fall out? Fall out of what?
He was at home, and I don't know if he was combing his hair or something, but it come off.
What did?
His skull.
What do you mean, his skull? Do you know what the skull is?
It's a part of the head.
Well, no, it's the structure of the head. It's the bone. Do you mean the top of the skull?
This is only useful if you have all the salient facts. then it would be of interest to us. We could.
Well, I couldn't take that on. I'm busy. I'm not going to start looking into stuff in depth. Just get the details.
God. You're such an idiot. You are the best, idiot in the world.
Well, I don't want to be premature, but that entry is followed by, I injured my toe the other day by dropping the toaster. Instead of letting it hit the floor, I tried to catch it with my foot. I didn't think I'd done any harm, but my nail looks like it could fall off. I might show it to the doctor when I get me kidney stones out. We could easily get by without nails on the feet. They are more trouble than they're worth.
You're so wrong. You're so wrong.
I think on the days when cavemen without shoes and animals need nails, I don't think we need them now. I honestly, because you hear about ingrowing toenails, right? So that's a problem. You've got to cut them. Stuff gets under there and gets infected. Get rid of them. You won't have any of that, as long as you wear shoes.
No, you'd have unprotected toes and fingers, wouldn't you?
I didn't say on the fingers, just on the toes.
So why do you need them on the fingers and not the toes?
Because you use your hands to do stuff. I've said about toenail out. It'd be good to have it growing on the head.
What?
Just having like a sheet of it, just like a nail on the forehead. It wouldn't look weird because we'd all have it. I'm not saying.
What are you talking about now?
I'm just saying I don't want to go on about evolution and stuff because we've done it all.
What do you think the skull is for?
No, but I mean on the outside, so that when you bang your head, it's a little bit more protection. Like people, I mean, you're looking at me like that. Why'd you wear a helmet on a bike then?
Because the bike wasn't meant to be invented. We weren't meant to whiz along at 70 miles an hour with evolution.
I know, but because life's changing, like you've said.
But you can't go, let's evolve, let's re-evolve.
Okay, let's assume we've got this nail on our head that's growing out of our forehead.
So we look like one big thumb.
Yeah. Which weirdly, Karl you can almost imagine it looking at Karl now. You can imagine a big nail there. Does the nail continue to grow? Do we have to trim the head nail?
Yeah, in the same way you get a haircut.
Why is that preferable in your mind to just wearing a crash helmet in instances where you might have something hit your head?
Just because, for a start, helmets, you have to carry them around with you. That's one thing that's put me off having a motorbike. Whenever you see someone on a motorbike, it's all like the clothes they've got to wear. And it's like a big upheaval, isn't it? It's if you have a car, you can get in with your shorts on, your flip-flops on. A motorbike, it's like you're an astronaut or something, you're only nipping down the road for some milk. Do you know what I mean? So, what I'm saying is get rid
But does it annoy you having to put shoes on every day and underpants and a vest and I don't know.
No, but once they're on, I'm not carrying them. They're on me. If I had to then take the shorts off for whatever reason and walk around holding them, I'd go, I can't be bothered. I don't like holding a bag. I don't like bags. We carry too much around with us now. I don't like carrying stuff. It's just a hassle, isn't it?
It's just endless things he doesn't want to do, doesn't like doing, isn't like carrying bags. Who the hell has a gripe about carrying bags? Why is that a concern?
Because it's stuff that's on
I
you.
love the way that he wouldn't mind having a nail going out of his fucking head, but he doesn't want to carry a bag.
What's good with it is, everybody's got one of these.
But it's not going to happen, Karl.
And the most important thing in your body, apart from the heart, is your brain. So protect that, not the toes. The toes we can get by without the toes. People. But your head's important, isn't it? There's a lot of stuff in your head. And I know all this just after seeing the Bodyworks thing. I went to see it's a show on where there's a load of like dead bodies and that. And you can see how much stuff's in the body. And there's loads of stuff. There's nothing in there that you don't need. It's all doing stuff. Everything in your body.
We've been telling you that for years.
But you reckon you don't need the toenails?
Yeah, that's on the outside. I'm saying everything that's on the inside of your body, right?
You don't need the appendix.
No, but doesn't that depend on what lifestyle you have?
Well, it's a hangover of when we probably ate a lot more cellulose, and it's.
Yeah, well, they might come back. Things are always coming back, aren't they? So if people start eating them again.
What about male nipples?
Sort of looks all right though, doesn't it? Because the chest is quite plain, so with nothing on it, you'd go, oh, what's this? It just balances it out. I think it looks all right. I think it works. So leave it. But what were we talking about?
But wouldn't you rather have maybe a little like a rib cage around the testicles? Because you get a whack in them and it. Oh.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Not an invention, Karl. It's not an invention, and we can't do it. But
But will you be able to sit down still? Because that's the good thing with them at the moment, is movement. So it sort of works. But don't they say, they said something about testicles, the bodyworks thing.
Well, they're on the outside.
Put yours away, Karl. You're not one of the exhibits.
They're on the outside because they have to be a few degrees below body temperature for the Sertoli cells to
So that's an odd design. That they had to go there, because it's a bit of an odd place to have them.
Where would you suggest? Dangling from the throat?
Sort of.
I want to redesign you, right? You can possibly do this now. This is something you can actually do, probably. You could probably have your testicles anywhere. So where would you want them?
You've got a giant forehead nail.
Yeah. You could have that. It probably wouldn't grow, but we could certainly have that.
I just mean, like, because if all it's about is temperature, you don't want to get them too hot.
Yeah.
Well, they're getting hot down there because you're wearing pants and what have you. So have them nearer to the outside of the body.
Well, they are near the outside of the body.
No, but we wear pants over them.
So you wear pants over them because they're testicles, and polite society suggests that you don't show your testicles.
Yeah, well, that's the odd thing, isn't it? That's what's happened somehow, that we've said testicles shouldn't be seen.
Well, then just cut a hole in your trousers. If it's only about, keeping them cool, and because they're too hot, why don't you just hang them out your shorts?
Because there's too many sort of seats that are shared these days, isn't there? But what I'm saying is...
Well, what are you saying?
Where would you put them?
Somewhere like, sort of under the ears. So it sort of just looks like lobes.
So you would redesign your body to have a pair of testicles hanging from your ears?
And when people are sometimes talking, they do sort of mess with their ears, and they're always saying check for lumps. More handy.
Does the penis remain where it is at the
Leave
moment?
that where it is. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about you, Rick, but I would love to see, perhaps on the web, it's very easy to put stuff on web pages now, some kind of illustration, could be computer generated, could be drawn by hand, of the new model Karl. Bear in mind, people, that he's got some testicles underneath his ears.
And a big thumbnail on his forehead.
Big thumbnail on his forehead.
Talking to Karl, I want to see Karl's head everywhere. It's the roundness that I like, okay? So do a viral campaign. Anyone out there with a picture of Karl, just get it everywhere. Because I want eventually everyone to, as they walk past him in the street, to shout, "You shaved monkey," or "Look at that bald head," or "Look at fucking coconut face coming this way. You got a head like a fucking orange."